Take another photograph and document a life that's right. And ways consist of simple things, the days of black and white. And faces from a humble past.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How's it going? Been a while. We'll talk about that another time. But welcome back yet again to Talkin Guff podcast with me, your host, Ruben Django Pouch. Wagwan! I just wanted to say something really quickly before we get into it, and that is that we are going to pay our respects to a fucking Irish hero, an absolute hero of mine, certainly a musical hero of mine, and one of the greatest musical assets this country has ever known, and that is Mr. Shane MacGowan, who passed away this week, and we want to say rest in power, Shane MacGowan. Like, I was just saying to someone there, like, when I listen to the Pogues, and I have listened to them at length for years, Rum Sodomy and the Lash, and parts of If I Should Fall From Grace with God, is just like my favourite shit ever, alright? Serio. And when I listen to that music, some songs like when Body of an American drops back down into the drone and all, and even that very start of Sick Babe of Cuckoo, when oh Jesus Christ, I can't even think, but it's just like, it makes me feel a way that no other music makes me feel. It's totally unique in its power and its feeling and in the way I connect with it. That doesn't make it better than everything else, but it's totally unique in and of itself, and I just love it. And I think that some of the songs are just masterful. And just a little note I was reading there about Rum Sodomy and the Lash, because that was produced by Elvis Costello, who I'm pretty sure went on to marry Koch Reardon, but he was brought on to produce A Pair of Brown Eyes and something else I can't remember. One summer evening, drunk to hell, I sat there nearly lifeless. The old boy in the corner sang Where the Water Lilies Grow. Yeah, he was brought on to do A Pair of Brown Eyes and another single, basically, and then ended up saying, "Oh look, I'll do the whole album." And there was a great little quote from him, and it was something along the lines of that he just wanted to capture them in all their dilapidated glory before someone more professional fucked it all up. And I just thought that was brilliant and perfect for the band, and a perfect, when you hear that retrospective of the album, you're just like, yeah, that's what it was, huh? It's amazing. It's one of those perfect, just little captured moment vibes, you know what I mean? Brilliant, beautiful. Mwah. Rest in peace, Shane MacGowan. There was another thing I wanted to say. Oh yeah, I saw the Pogues in what I think was their last full band gig in Ireland, like 12 years ago maybe, but I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure, but I could be totally wrong about that. But Shane MacGowan was on form that night, belting them out in a full length leather trench coat and leather paddy cap. Never forget it. I was looking there back at these, or I wasn't looking back, but I know I wanted to talk to you about that last episode that I did about the situation in Gaza and Israel and all. And I suppose, like, not very many people watched it, or it didn't garner very many views, even for this channel. But what I will say is that I thought retrospectively that I was a bit soft or diplomatic or whatever, but maybe I wasn't. But I was trying to be, and see, the thing is, like, a friend of mine was sort of going, and what about this? And, the Jews have suffered 3,500 years of persecution with this and that and the other, and he was giving it to me a bit, like, and going, oh, I think you are an anti-Semite. And as far as looking back, he gaslit me a little bit, and I let that affect me. and the way in which I presented the last episode. And maybe that was a good thing, maybe that was a bad thing, but I will just say now, like, knowing now, like, having seen what's unfolded in the month after October the 7th or whatever, the month and a half, 2 months now, pretty much, the month since we did the episode or a bit more, it's just insane. And like, you know, who runs the world? Jews. Like, let's be real here, because you couldn't get away with that. Like, if international media is going, oh, there have been 16,000 people killed, including like 6,000 or 7,000 children, which is just like insane to think about. Oh, excuse me. To think about, and then the next thing you know, Israel are coming out going, nah, we've killed way more than that. We've killed 25,000 and 10,000 of them were children. Just like, and no one says anything. You know what I mean? It's insane. And like, no one really, like I said, no one says anything. Anyone else does that, and just like, oh no, we've after killing fucking over 10,000 children here, huh? You just be like, well, that's a big problem. But you know, but from an institutional level, as far as governments are concerned on the whole, especially the ones that can make a difference with the situation, they don't give a fuck. They don't really say anything. And that's because there are hardline Zionists. And in fact, who runs the world? It's hardline Zionist Jews who run the world, who have Israel's best interests at heart. And those hardline Zionists are embedded on every level of the American institution, like politically, financially. Like, the Israel lobby is the biggest political lobbyist group in the fucking there is. The money is unfathomable. The amount of money that gets pumped into the American government to buy the hardline Zionist Israelis controls the situation. Kanye was right. That's also why Parliament end up voting down any hope of a ceasefire, or like any sort of like demand for ceasefire from the UK. The idea of that has been squashed in Parliament, and it turns out that Rishi Sunak, who's a multi-millionaire, made fucking hundreds of millions, as far as I'm aware, off Moderna during COVID, which I suppose sounds like a bit of a conflict of interest. And his wife, so the wife of the Prime Minister of England, she's not a citizen of the UK. She's a tax domicile or whatever, tax exempt domicile, whatever the fuck. She doesn't pay any tax on any money that she has in the UK, and she's got fucking millions and billions of it, because her family in India own loads of companies. I don't know, but they definitely own a company called Infosys, as far as I'm aware. And Infosys are somehow the middleman between BP, Shell, and Israel, because there is actually a shit ton of oil underneath Gaza, or just on the in the ocean, as far as I'm aware, but on the Gaza coast. They have, like, they're openly committing genocide, as it looks like. And you've seen like what they're doing over there. Now today you hear only that they're going to flood the whole of Gaza with seawater, salt water, in order to get out of that. My dog's just here. Come on, away from there. In order to compromise these tunnels that apparently are under Al-Shifa Hospital. That's why they're bombing ambulances and bombing hospitals and all. Like, it's just unbelievable. And they're getting money, billions of dollars of aid, military aid, surprise, surprise, from the Biden administration. Another meat grinder for human beings, in now this one in the Middle East, as opposed to the one he set up over in the Ukraine, that they're funding in the Ukraine. That wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the money that they were contributing, you know, and it's grinding Ukrainians. It's bizarre. But they're now going to pump Israel full of money to kill women and children. And, like, you know, there's 2.3 million people living in, like, I think it's half the size of Louth or something. And there's apparently 40 Hamas, and they've just killed, like, nearly 20,000 people or more, according to them. And you're just like going, does that mean you've killed more than half of Hamas? No, of course it doesn't. It means you're just fucking, like, openly committing genocide. And the thing about the salt water is they're doing it under the pretense of compromising and flooding these tunnels that Hamas occupy. But the reality apparently of it is that they're just destroying the infrastructure. They're destroying all of the potable water. They're destroying all of the land, all of the irrigation, everything. It's just all going to get destroyed. Every way in which the water flows is just fucked now because of either salt is going to destroy the land, make it barren, the components that are pumping it, etc., etc. The ramifications go on and on. But it feels then like, and so just to clarify, that's our little section of who runs the world? Jews. Like, for me, it seems like the veil has fallen for Israel a little bit. Like, anyone who was sort of like, oh, you know, like, how could you be giving me that biblical shit now? How could you be talking to me about Moses or any of that fucking crap now? Like, it's so moot. And it turns, like, you know, or I don't know if it turns out, but I wasn't there in the 1880s, I suppose. But I think the idea that there is no Palestine, there's no people here before we sort of made it a place, made it inhabitable is potentially erroneous. And apparently even your man, like, what's his name, Herzl, fucking the founder of Israel, like, or the Zionist movement in the late 19th century, his name is something Herzl or Herzl something, I can't remember, and he's an atheist apparently. He's just a total politician, just like, we're gonna get this land, because he's a politician. It's politically motivated. And look, and I don't give a fuck anymore. It's like, well, that's anti-Semitic. I don't care, honestly. If that's what you think, that's what you think, because I'm just, it's right there. Anyone who wants to argue it can just go and look for themselves. There's no war happening over there. This is like, oh, there's a war now in Israel with Hamas, and it's just like, it's like human beings, like sardines in a can in this tiny little bit of fucking open air prison, and you're just murdering them. That's not a war. And like, again, and it seems like apparently the idea that a load of lads on scooters and paragliders could invade the state of Israel, the most like hardcore security tech fucking nation on the planet. Like I've heard just multiple people talking about it now who've been there and all going, you could not get within that. Like, it's impossible. It's a total fugazi. And so, you know, and the whole narrative from fucking Sam Harris and Ben Shapiro and all these other goons, it's like, oh, these lads are terrorists, these animals, basically. They're savages and they use their own people as human shields. It's like, well, now it's looking potentially like you did that in order to incite a genocide. And like I say, has the veil fallen for Israel? I've seen a lot of content of like real Hasidic or real Jewish looking Jews, I suppose, like Hasidics and Orthodox and Yids and all, just going, we condemn this action in Israel, and that's so far removed from where we're at. And I've seen a lot of that from Jews inside of Israel and outside of Israel, and apparently there's a whole load of civil unrest there for the last few years, and that there's been maybe 4 or 5, there's either been 4 general elections in 5 years or 5 in 4 years. It's one or the other. And that Netanyahu had to string together a coalition with a bunch of apparently like fucking hardcore right-wing fascists, basically. And I've seen them spitting their vitriol, and obviously I'm looking at subtitles and they could potentially be saying other things, but it seems like that they're saying the things they're saying just even by their expression and body language, etc. And it's just like total right-wing vitriol, and it's Hitler-esque in its sort of intensity and its sociopathy, I don't know, whatever it, or the sociopathic nature of what's been said, etc., etc. But yeah, one guy I seen was just like, we will leave no stone atop another stone in Gaza. So it's just like, Gaza can't even be 2 stones high. It just has to be 1 stone high. It's that we're gonna raise it to 1 stone. And a part of that idea that potentially the veil is falling is like, I've also seen like, mate, look, you know, obviously I'm working off an algorithm that's, you know, but I've followed a couple of these up, and definitely I have seen videos of like vicious looking fucking dudes in Jerusalem and other parts of Israel settlers, etc., just being vicious little thugs, basically, against Arabs. Like, I've seen videos, man, of just like, what would you do? And we're talking about this migrant situation, and we'll talk a bit more about that in a bit, but like, what would you actually do if a fiend just rocked up and said, I'm here now, I'm a settler, I'm chosen by God, get the fuck out? You know what I mean? Of your own house. And they're backed by the government, like, I mean, backed. Like, with fucking rifles back, shoot you in the head back, no problem. And, like, just what would it feel like as a man, as any human being, but especially as a man, just to have some lad and little dweeb from fucking Oregon in the USA come along with this, like, total arrogance of, like, I run this shit, I'm a fucking child of God, and pushing lads out of their way as they go into their homes and just go, right, yeah, lovely, this is lovely, oh yeah, what's this, what's Talkin Guff, I don't know, fuck it, table, right, Grant, this is alright, isn't it, yeah, like, what the fuck? And it would just be so testing and frustrating, because you can't go, fuck it, everyone's like, oh, fucking box the head off him, then you're gonna get shot dead. Your whole family's going to get killed. You're going to get stripped and bashed. You'd be stripped, declare a member of Hamas, and fucking bashed in the streets. You know what I mean? And funnily enough, apparently a lot of fucking... And I definitely know that, like, loads of Russians and Ukrainians who are just actually racist cunts go to Israel and be settlers, or Jewish settlers, just so they can actually be fucking lunatics. And apparently there's a lot of them from a lot of different countries, including South Africa, which saw a massive influx of or which went apparently in massive amounts to Israel after apartheid ended. We better get out of here, we can't fuck you with the blacks anymore. Where are we going to go? I'll tell you, yeah. We'll go over there to Israel. Be proper white people, Jews. We're going to be Jews, yeah, and kill the fucking Arabs. So, yeah, I'm actually I'm happy. No, happy is totally the wrong word. But it's just like, I feel like I don't have to fucking worry or about some pretense of that's anti-Semitic, because it's not. It's just fucking facts. It's just rational. It's just like, this is not, we can't have this. And I believe I will stand over everything I've just spoke about there. As a result, even more so, or all of that's been galvanised, should I say, in the last couple of months. My bro told me this thing, right? And obviously, he was at one point the head of the Human Rights Council for Gaza, the United Nations Human Rights Council for Gaza. He was the head of that, and he lived in Gaza for a number of years, until eventually Israel said, you can't go to Gaza anymore because we don't like what you do. We're not into it. And he's like, well, hold on a minute. I'm doing that. Like, I'm the head of the Human Rights Council here. And it's like, yeah, exactly, mate. You have to go. And you can't stay in Gaza without Israel giving it the green light. You know what I mean? And so he now lives in another part of the Middle East, and he still has that job, I think. But he definitely still coordinates with a team on the ground in Gaza and other parts of Palestine. And he would still have colleagues that he worked with for years who are Palestinians. And also, obviously, there'd be nationals like Palestinians and non-nationals like lads from Ireland and fucking wherever else, you know what I mean? All working for the UN. But he says it looks like that they're going to basically go, right, we're going to drop all of this aid down here in the south, and then everyone will just go to that aid. Like, it's already displaced. It's killed however many fucking tens of thousands of people, and it's displaced a fucking further 1.2 or 1.7 million or something like that, and that'll become a crisis in and of itself, and people will die as a result of that. And I'll tell you this much, they'll never fucking see Gaza again. And so the deal would be just that they would drop all this aid, and so that everyone flocks to just this one, like, tiny part of Gaza, smaller than Bray, and just fence them all in. Just be like, right, that's it, you're done now. That's it. We don't want to hear it. You can go that way. You're not coming this way. Fair deal? Fair deal. So that's obviously just like every step of the way, everywhere you look, these motherfuckers are committing war crimes. You know what I mean? And like everyone's narrative, Ben Shapiro's narrative about like we don't occupy that part of the world. It's bullshit. It's all bullshit. It's all smoke and daggers. It's all crafty nonsense narratives that have been constructed by the Knesset and the fucking Anti-Defamation League and all that. They all just spew out. And if you say anything, you're a fucking anti-Semite. He can go and shite forever. And the funny thing about it, is that he was saying that he was talking, and he talks like. And he gets, and he's like, so do you think that there should have been a ceasefire during World? Like he is defending the decimation, the total destruction and annihilation of Gaza and the Palestinian people within it. Under this narrative, he's like talking some dope, and she wasn't quick enough. But he's like, do you think that there should have been a ceasefire during the Second World War when, because a lot more Germans died than English? And let's be real, not more Russians died than anyone else, mate. But he's like, do you think that? And your woman was just like, oh, well, they're not killing innocent civilians. Like, what about Dresden? And you're like, hold on a minute, mate. First of all, we should have learned all the lessons about war that we've learned in those wars, the First and Second World War. We didn't. We've forgotten those lessons, those international laws. But you're not the Allies in this one, mate. You're the Nazis. And when it starts, if it was flipped on its head now and everyone started bashing you because you're committing a genocide in fucking the Middle East and everyone started fucking absolutely bashing you out of it and your death toll surpassed the Palestinians, fucking right, you'd be begging for a ceasefire. But that's not good. You're so enveloped in that arrogance of like the assurity of like, well, no one's going to fuck with us because who runs the world? Jews. But like you're the Nazis in this one, mate. You're not the oppressed. You're the fucking right-wing, fundamentalist, fucking rhetoric spewing, murderous Nazis. That's what you have become. Isn't that bizarre? And people, I was told a story that there are literally, and this is like primary, secondary source, right? That there's a checkpoint, so everyone has to go down the south. They want to clear the north first, and there's a checkpoint, and people, including people who work for the UN, who they can't get out and all, like Palestinian lads and women who are educated and have houses and cars and children and all. It's just like, right, now you have to go. You know that? Go. Say goodbye to anything you own. It's all gone. You're going. And you're going to walk out of here with your ID and you're going to walk through a checkpoint and there'll be like another half mile and you'll be through another checkpoint and then you fuck off down the south and we'll give you a bit of aid in a while, right? And literally, you go through the first checkpoint and there's people like going, you just go like this apparently. Head down, ID up in the air, walk towards the second checkpoint. And as they're walking there, a la fucking Schindler's List, they're just fucking, people are dropping as again just shot in the head and all down like, look, you here, have a bit of this. Apparently as well, like, and this happens according to people I've spoken to with the prerequisite knowledge in all of these situations, there was a total breakdown of control because people are scared, people are bloodlust, it's kill or be killed, insane mentalities come to fruition within these situations, and there's like fucking lads just like indoctrinated fucking Zionist IDF lunatics just going bop, doing a full bunny. Hey man, she is fucking head come apart. Like that's what you're looking at, and it's just like that's like something from The Pianist. You know what I mean? Just like please don't let it be me. Please don't let it be me. Like, come on, man. Wake up. Ben Shapiro, wake the fuck up. Yous are the Nazis. They're dogs. They're indoctrinated psychopaths. And it's obviously at a systemic level. And, like, I mean, obviously, this is only going to create more fucking Hamas terrorists, you know what I mean? But you should just reject the idea. And look, after that, it's a war and not just a genocide. But like, look, big ups to certain aspects of Ireland. I believe the Palestinian flag has been flying over Dublin City Hall all week. Sinn Féin totally denounced the actions of Israel, and potentially the only political party, well, obviously the People Before Profit obviously did as well, but not a peep as far as I'm aware, the Fine Gael or Fianna Fáil, and certainly not the Tories or the Biden administration or anyone like that. A couple of weeks ago, maybe even about 3 weeks ago, I was with a friend of mine in a friend of his house, and I know my friend's friend not that well, but they're really close. They'd be closer than me and the dude are, right? And we're hanging out there and we're chatting, and something comes up about Biden and Trump, and I was like, oh well, like I would vote for Trump if I was in America. I think that'd be the right choice for the people. And obviously, like, that doesn't mean, like, I don't think Trump's my hero. Trump doesn't make Trump my hero or anything. It's just like, I don't think that Cornel West is going to ever get it, no matter what. I don't think Robert F. Kennedy's going to ever get it, no matter what. I think really it is a two-horse race, and if I had to vote, if I was in that situation, I'd be voting for Trump. For multiple reasons. And as soon as I said it, I certainly felt like they were like, looked at each other like, do you hear what he just said? What a dope. What? And long story short, I felt that it was sort of like they wanted to communicate to me why I was wrong, but didn't want to listen to me when I was sort of talking about why I thought they were wrong. But one thing, part of the argument was that, like, my mate was there going, like, that's why he was saying, in his opinion, that's why there was, like, this anti-immigration narrative happening in Ireland was as a result of Trump somehow. And I was like, well, I would refute that entirely. I think it's a post-colonialist or an imperialist brand of racism that's been imported here from the UK, and figureheads of that movement or founders of certain parts of that movement have now been welcomed into this country by Irish people, and that they have it in England and in Italy and in Holland and in France, and that I just reckon it had nothing to do with Trump was the main part of what I was saying, and other parts we went on, and eventually, like, they threw me out. They were just like, no, get out, Ruben, fucking not listening to your bullshit, basically. And I was shocked. I was taken aback, and actually I was upset about it actually as well. I was really upset, and I was just like, oh right, and look, it's still in play, that whole situation. But I was a bit taken aback, and then at times I was getting really frustrated or angry about it after the fact, going, oh, that's bollocks down. That's a case of, like, give it but can't take. And I don't know, like, and also being realistic, potentially I was overbearing as well, and I leaned into it too much on account of feeling judged or whatever. Like, very, but like I hadn't felt like that since I was a little kid, because mainly I was having the thing with your man, with my mate's friends, and I was surprised. He was just like, get out of my house. You're not gonna do that American hard man thing with me. And I was just like, oh, I don't know what that means, basically, because I was saying, you know, I'm pretty sure that less people are dying, like, as a result of or less people died under the Trump administration. There was no proxy war in the Ukraine. There was no proxy war in the Middle East, or like not, and certainly not one that he started or was there at the ground floor of. He inherited a couple from the Obama administration, but generally speaking, I think, you know, forget about it. Anyway, but then it was mad then that we'd had that argument, and then that was on, like, maybe a week later, the riots happened in Dublin, and funny enough, my mate put up a post, and he didn't say it was a Trump brand of racism. He said what I was saying, that it was like this imperialist brand of racism that had come from England and can go back to England and whatever. So, look, it's very complex, and it's very contentious, and it's very nuanced, and we have to be careful that we need to communicate properly in this situation. And I'm going to try my best to touch on a few aspects of it, And I hope that I don't upset or annoy anyone out there in the world, and it would certainly not be my intention. You know, but I'm just like anyone, and I'm just trying to find my way and understand, and obviously come on, you can come up if you want. Come on. And I would say hello, look. An obviously tumultuous and contentious and violent situation, okay? So, but let's have a chat about it, right? And at this stage, I think it's fair to say that we all know what happened, that young children were attacked outside of school, an Irish speaking school on Parnell Street in the middle of the day by some fruitcake with a knife, and he fucking stabbed kids and all, and a teacher and another person intervened. He was injured himself, arrested, etc. And it's like nearly like 2 weeks later, I suppose, that poor young child is still in a serious condition as far as I understand, and like, I have an 11-year-old kid, and I've got younger nephews and nieces and older nephews and nieces that I love and all. And I just like, sometimes I think of the idea of like with my young lad just even being a bit sad, and I just be like getting fucking really upset. And imagine that happened to your kid, and he'd be fucking raging, and that anger would be justified, and I would never argue with that. You know what I mean? And obviously, I'm trying to come at this from like I've said, like a perspective where we can sort of like be realistic about it and fair to everyone, all sides of the dynamic. You know what I mean? And like, I wanted to pose the questions, just like, because obviously there's a difference between being a racist and having being worried about influx of migrants in your community. Like, I don't think that makes you racist by default, you know. And the other thing about it is, like, I'm living out here in Bray, and I haven't actually noticed, and there's a direct provision centre here in Bray, and obviously I've noticed like young black ladies with their families and stuff getting the kids from school and around the town with their buggies and stuff like that, and like, and I'm pretty sure they're living in the direct provision centre. But aside from that, and certainly like I haven't noticed any sort of like more unsavoury characters like foreigners or anything like that, for definite. Like, I haven't noticed an influx of like sort of dodgy looking foreigners, fighting age, unvetted males. You know, I haven't myself, and I certainly haven't seen any antisocial behaviour or an influx of antisocial behaviour, and if I have, it certainly hasn't been migrants, right? But then, like, I don't live in the communities where these concerns are being raised in inner city Dublin and on the peripheries, etc. I don't live in those communities, so it's hard for me to speak on that 100%. Like, because the thing about it is, like, and this might help people understand my perspective, is like I said, that's not my environment. I haven't noticed in this town like an influx of antisocial migrants fucking who are posing a threat and would raise concerns for me about my community. That hasn't happened for me, right? And I've worked in the service industry for years, and like, I work all the time with immigrants, really hard working fucking cool immigrants, and there's some of them are cunts, totally. Like, but it's the same probably ratio as Irish people as well, you know. But generally speaking, the immigrants that I come into contact with are fucking salt of the earth, hard working motherfuckers. Like, I've worked in kitchens where I've been the only Irish person, the only Irish chef, and all the kitchen porters, none of them were from Ireland either, and I had the absolute crack for myself. And so that's my sort of experience. And because I also worked on building sites and with loads of Polish, Lithuanian, Latvian, and they were probably a little less crack. You know what I mean? They were a bit rougher around the edges, but fucking hard-working motherfuckers as well. You know what I mean? And that's my point. Like, my experience of immigrants is like, is with hard-working dudes who just want to fucking work hard, get paid, send money home, provide for whoever they can. Like all of us. You know what I mean? And that hasn't changed. I haven't seen, like I said again, an influx in antisocial behaviour at the hands of migrants in this community. And so, you know, my barometer is still on, like, these lads are good. You know what I mean? But having said that, like, you know, I can't speak on concerns being raised in the community that I don't live in, and I don't think by default that you're racist for raising concerns about your community with regards to the migrant situation. Okay? What does anyone else think about what I'm saying there, about those 2 points of view? But the other thing I will say is that I don't also believe in an open border policy. And now I don't know enough about the fucking border policy and immigration policy in this country to know whether or not it's like what you would call an open border policy. But over in the States, it looks like they're having an open border policy, like to the point where, like, it just border patrol guards, they're just like administrators almost now. Right, where are you? Right, you go there, and I don't agree with it for these reasons. Not because I'm a racist or a bigot or anything like that, but let's take America. Let's have a look at the situation in America, and I'll explain the problems that they're seeing. In my opinion, is that, like, number one is, like, there's obviously an opioid epidemic happening in the States at the moment. It's killing, like, it's killed like 100,000. It kills 100,000 people a year or something insane like this. And there's people, literally zombies, roaming the streets, dying on the streets like every minute, right? And that's all coming up through the border as a result of this open border policy. Right, so that's one. We've also spoke before about, like, 100,000 or 80 to 100,000 children being trafficked, sent to fucking unvetted, like, American foster families or carers, etc. And they're gone now. They've been trafficked, basically. 100,000 people have been trafficked as a result of this open border policy. So that's also obviously not a really good thing. I mean, we saw, you know, it's all very well and good for that guy, the mayor of New York, to be going, send us, you're tired, you're weak, you're hungry, and fucking quoting whoever it is and whatever, and calling it a sanctuary city. But when the reality of that situation hits home, where it's just like, well, here, you can have 100,000 from the border states. We give you 100,000 migrants to your sanctuary city, and then they can't sustain it. Like, it's like, you know, if you can't actually sustain, you're not helping these people if you can't actually do anything for them. And then obviously after those 100,000 migrants turned up in New York City, your man's like, going, close the fucking border. You know what I mean? I hear that. That was the whole thing about, this is why Trump's racist back in the day, is because he's talking about building a wall. And now everyone's talking about building a wall. They're like, close the border, build a fucking wall, yo. There's Mexicans going, we're getting out of here. We're going back. You know what I'm saying? I saw a video, and, like, where it's just like, I just had never seen anything like it. It was just like 100. It looked like a festival full of people, just like, it looked like, this is exactly what it looked like. And it was a freelance journalist, but it looked like if you were walking around Electric Picnic on the Saturday night, Sunday morning at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and there's just like people fucking scattering around in floodlights going, what are we doing, what are we going, what's going on? And, like, a whole festival, it just looked mental. And it's like, it's not that I have a problem with those people, but I have a problem with the idea that it just looks like out of control. You know what I mean? Another thing is, like, if you just, like, have an open border policy and it's infinite amounts of immigrants, like, your economy will crash then, obviously, as well. You know what I mean? If you can't sustain that, and many people, and I think it's 7 million in the United States in the last 3 years, and and it's not sustainable. You know what I mean? It's actually bad, and so it's not going to help them in the long run either. And then also in the States, it's like the cartels are making fucking billions off just it's like, don't land in America now and try and claim asylum. Don't go from the north. Just come to Mexico, man. We get you sorted. We put you on a bus. We're collaborating. They're basically, what I understand, is they're like travel agents for this whole situation, right? And so they're making bank billions off of the situation. It's like, well, is that a good thing? Or, you know, if the cartel are getting to make billions off this open border policy, I don't know if that's really good for people either. And another thing, and potentially one of the last reasons, is that it's also damaging to delicate economies in South and Central America, because they rely upon labour. Basically, they go to the States and earn what I understand to be a relatively fair wage considering where they're coming from, but they do seasonal farm work basically in the States, from people from countries all over Central and South America, or Central America basically, I suppose, Mexico and Guatemala and shit like that. And now they're being like, they're losing their jobs, so their economies are faltering as a result of this situation, because there is now literal, like, unrelative near slave labour happening in these farms in California, etc., where West Africans and stuff like that. And so, like, obviously that's detrimental then to other economies. And so I don't, and again, that's not an anti-immigration stance whatsoever. That's just an anti-open border policy stance. You know, you can't just, you know, it can't be infinite. And obviously then, and that's why, and this is why I just feel it was such a stupid move by the coalition in this country. It's just like, your infrastructure, you don't have an infrastructure from a housing perspective, say, you don't have an infrastructure in place to look after everyone who's here, and you want to burden that that already faltering infrastructure even further. I don't understand that. Like, how could you think that was going to work out for you in two ways? Like, you know, you don't, and this is where it's strange, because those motherfuckers are all about political capital, and it's like, you don't make any political capital from that situation. And so is it to be divisive? Is it to create some sort of division and divide and rule? Or is it, and I think this could potentially definitely be the situation in the States, and I think here maybe as well, is like, you're importing a voter bloc. Do you get where I'm coming from? Like, Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil are importing a voter bloc right now. The Biden administration are importing a voter bloc. Who are you voting for? The Democrats. Who are you voting for? The coalition, Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil. You know, so there's something amiss within that respect, and I don't think that that's racist or bigoted either. For me to, what does anyone think, you know, about those points of view? Where's anyone's head at on that one? There's parts of the whole narrative from the there's parts of the anti-immigration narrative that don't add up. And you see, the thing is, like, there's always situations like, there's people who think this, people who think that and this, people who think this and a bit of this, and it all gets muddied a bit. And, like, the idea just, like, all immigrants are out is ridiculous, in my opinion, and it doesn't add up. Like, obviously then, after this violent attack on Parnell Street, and, like, I tell you, right, I had heard this thing on I just saw this headline when I was on my feed or something about it, and it's like, child stabbed, and I was like, what's that? And I went into it a bit, and I was like reading the story, and this was like maybe only a couple of hours after the story had broken, and I was like, oh my god, if this is a foreign person or an immigrant, there's going to be fucking war. And I was leafing through as many articles as I could find, and then I read a thing where the guards had written that they had ruled out a terror motive for the attack, and I was like, that means an immigrant, or that means a brown person, probably a Muslim, basically. Like, why else would they say that? If it's just me, they're not going to say, oh, is he a terrorist? You know what I mean? And so I thought that was between the lines in a couple of articles out of the maybe 7 or 8 that I leafed through. And because they all have the same story, basically. But the couple out of the 7 or 8 had put that in. And I was like, oh, there's going to be war over this. And then I watched the movie with my young lad. And after the movie, maybe 2.5 hours later, I was looking at my phone, there was buses and Lewis's and everything on fire. Guards are getting punched over O'Connell Bridge and punched into the river bar and having their bike taken off them and fucked over the bridge, you know. I was like, oh my god. Because then apparently the situation was that the fella who did it, he's an Algerian guy, so he's a foreigner, he's North African, right? the part. So let's get into why I think parts of it don't add up. Because that guy's been living here 20 years, and I would just argue that after 20 years of living in society, now I don't know what he's been doing in this country for 20 years. I don't know if he's been an active member of society or whatever, but I just feel like that it's sort of irrelevant after that many years. The statute of limitations has passed. Guys living here, you know, it's our problem. You know what I mean? If he's living here 20 years, that's how I feel. And what does anyone else feel about that? It's what you call naturalised, is it? And I would, like, I just feel, yeah. And then it turns out that one of the main lads who foiled, he just sort of watched it unfolding on his bike, got off his bike, helmet off, and bam, brapped your man out of it, and foiled the whole situation, was an immigrant. A hard-working Brazilian Deliveroo driver. And the irony of that is that those Brazilian Deliveroo drivers, and I know some of them, have been getting punched all over Dublin by gangs of young lads from Dublin. And when shit goes down, one of them lads, without thinking, jumps off his bike, takes his helmet off, and fucking braps the fiend out of it, and potentially saved that girl's life. And so I suppose, like, that in and of itself, and I'm I might be wrong about this, but I'm under the understanding that the girl herself has a migrant background, and that even sounds a bit weird or funny in itself. But that's my understanding, that she's a migrant background. So it's just like an immigrant stabbed an immigrant, was foiled by an immigrant. All immigrants have to get out. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense to me, that part of it. And again, I don't want to be fucking patronising people who feel that I can't speak on what's happening in their communities, and I've said that, but for me that's just a little bit like lateral, or you know what I mean? It's just like, you know, it just muddies the water too much. I'm just like, I'm going, well, no, because an immigrant foiled it. You know what I mean? There's good immigrants, there's bad immigrants. There's good Irish people, there's bad Irish people. You know what I mean? The other thing is, like, straight after, there was videos going around of lads going, we've been saying this for ages, and now it's actually happened. And sure, look, didn't two lads get their heads chopped off last week? And I was like, what is that? And it was referenced a couple of times in videos I'd seen, and it wasn't that two lads had their heads chopped off last week, but the guy was convicted of those crimes last week. And he's a Muslim guy, Pakistani maybe, I'm not 100% sure. And he had committed those crimes maybe a year and a half ago, and basically he pretended he was gay online on dating apps, and then fucking killed two dudes, chopped one of their heads off, I think, and fucking also actually blinded another fiend, stabbed him in the eye, who got away. And I was like, oh Jesus. And it turns out he's been living in the country nearly 20 years, and his whole family are shocked and mortified by the situation. They're a serious part of the community. They're serious members of the mosque. The mosque is a serious part of the community. And like, it seems like potentially this guy's like had a total psychotic episode. He's self-loathing, homosexual, and this is how he did. Like, you know, this happens irrespective of people's creed and nationality, in my opinion, and it doesn't really feed into the narrative that, and that's another part, is like, if you've got a guy living here 20 years and a guy living here 16 years, and these are the two reference points that support the narrative that there is an influx in crime and antisocial behaviour as a result of an influx in migrants in the last 20 months, doesn't add up. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, they're the parts for me of that narrative that don't add up, I suppose, what I'm saying. And because another thing I would say is, like, I actually work as well with 3 Syrian lads, and they're fucking bang on, and they're obviously, 2 of them are, like, they look, one of them's 34, he looks like 20 years older than me. One of them's the same age as my brother, he's 50 years of age, he looks like he could be 75. And this lad I work with, he was just like, how come you lads look so old? And they were just like, stress, bro. And the way they said it, it was just like, right, yeah. And it just, imagine escaping that situation, how traumatized and sort of whatever you could be. And these guys are fucking sound. Like, they're fucking really nice guys. They're just trying to, like, you know what I mean? Life is a totally different thing for them now at this stage, especially those two older lads. One of them's 19, he's a bit more full of piss and vinegar. But the other two are just like, yeah, this is it. Just like, live my days out, basically. You get that vibe from them. They're certainly not trying to indoctrinate me into Islam or any of that shit. You know what I mean? They actually are a bit like nervous and meek almost. Another thing is, like, parts of the opposing narrative don't add up as well. You know, parts of the narrative with regards to the people who rioted don't add up as well. And, like, I don't feel like you can just say them lads are all scumbags. All them lads who rioted and even fiends who burnt buses and Lewis is not, they're just all scumbags. Like, we don't know any of them really. And what I do know is that loads of them are young lads, like just total young lads. And I don't believe that they're all racist. I think they're probably all disconnected, disenchanted. I think they probably all don't feel like there's much of a future for them. And as a result of that, it's just like, what are we smashing up? Okay, but it's for racism. What? Just fucking, I'll get a new pair of trainers out of it. You know what I mean? It's just like, and it's just, it's wild, and it's disenchanted youth. That's what it looks like to me. And obviously, like, that's sort of a story as old as racism itself. Disenchanted youths get sort of indoctrinated by people a bit older and with slightly more nefarious ends and agendas at play, and they're like, yeah, you're disenchanted, you're coming from an extreme environment, you don't have anything, you see no future. Don't worry, mate, we give you family, we give you fraternity, we give you a future, we're your future, but you gotta be racist. You know what I mean? Or we got to do this in the name of racism. And that's one part of it that was really sad for me. It's just like, I would have loved to have seen us, like, take to the streets and fucking smash the place up, burn a few buses in the Lewis and whatever, collectively, as one, as a fucking, as the electorate, under the banner of, like, the systemic corruption there seems to be at play with regards to the housing situation, the financial situation in this country, and all the rest. And I just think that would have been better than under the banner of, like, racism. I don't want us to be like there are people with nothing as well. I want all the people with nothing to be revolting against the people, the orchestrators, the political and financial elites in the country. You know what I mean? That was the thing that made me really sad, that it was all in the name of, like, the persecution of other people with nothing. You know? But, sorry, and I've totally strayed off point there. My good mate Noel, he was like, I'm telling you, man, it's not about race. Because I was saying that, and he's like, yeah, but it's not all about racism. I was like, yeah, but it was communicated as anti-immigrant, right? And because I definitely heard some, like, really nefarious voice messages that I'm not going to repeat now, because I don't want anyone to fucking go, here, what the fuck are you saying? I'm serious. I've been threatened before over this stuff online, and so I'm not actually going to, and I never do this, but I'm not going to repeat the voice message I heard. But it was like, it was totally like, kill all immigrants, basically, was the vibe almost off it. And that was really malevolent, and I was taken aback by that. And I know that element is preying on this situation and those vulnerable, disenchanted youths and all. I know that happens. It's a story, like I said, as old as racism itself. And my mate was there going, I guarantee you, Ruben, this is how I know it's not all about racism, because he said, I guarantee you, when all it comes out in the wash, there would be young black Irish lads involved in that rioting. And I was like, wow, that's an interesting take there. No, I would be interested to see. Sure enough, he was right. Young black Irish, young black Irish lads were arrested for that situation, And so that would sort of add credence to the idea that for some of these lads out there, it's not about racism, it's not about anti-immigration, it's about inequality, generally speaking, and disconnection. And unfortunately, I think the focal point won't be on the inequality. Or in fact, let me pose it to you like this. Will the focal point of this whole situation be the inequality, the communities that have been left to fall between the cracks? Or will it be the sort of nefarious orchestrators of this situation? Or will it just be them youths? And I will argue that it's probably just going to be them youths. That they're just going to wheel them lads out as thugs and knackers, and some of them are going to do bird, and some of them, a lot of them will get a criminal record or some sort of record as a result of this situation, and the question will never be asked or even entertained as to why did these young lads feel the need to do that, because it's not entirely because they're racist. Now there's probably fucking racist young lads and all, and I condemn that entirely, but I just feel that we have to, as when you look at it now retrospectively, that there has to be a conversation as to why them young men are so disenchanted that they're willing to smash up their own historical city. And like, are the state implicit because they have allowed these places? And we saw it definitely during COVID, and we talked about O'Connell Street. And again, I don't live in these areas, so I can't speak on it. But I've definitely heard a narrative that's been coming out of this situation is that communities, these places, and others like them have been forgotten. They've been left fall between the cracks, and I'm pretty sure we know that's a fact. And does that create that apathy we talked about? And we've talked about it before. I asked the question before when I seen them lads ramming the cars and boxing the head off cars. I was like, how? What? That's mad, isn't it? I remember I was saying, what would you be thinking to do that and all? Because I would just be thinking of the consequences. But obviously then it's just like, well, actually no, you're looking at that all wrong, Ruben. It's acted inconsequentially. That there is no thought of consequence, and that's how disconnected, that's how obviously forgotten by the state these young lads feel and all, and it's disheartening, man. It's disheartening, and have the guards, because they're the perceived heavy hands of that state, have they sort of orchestrated, are they the architects in fact of their own demise? Because I don't give a fuck what you say, I'd never seen anything like that. I'd never seen such a lack of control by the guards. I'd never seen bins getting set on fire and fucked into the back of a cop car. Close the door. Mad shit, and we all saw it, and much more. And and to be honest with you, the ineffectiveness of the guards was something. And I'm anti-guard, and I talk about it all the time. But when I saw how ineffective they were, and how out of control it was, and how out of control they were, like how little control they had of the situation, so they say, I was a little bit like, oh Jesus, that looks a bit like the fucking Baccara market in the fucking 90s. You know what I mean? That's Wild West shit, and that's worrying as well. So like, here's a point though, right? And I am anti-racist. I am pro-immigration. I've explained why. I also have explained why I think parts of the narrative, again, because I don't think it's fair that anyone who has a concern is a right-wing fucking nationalist in the newspaper, etc., or that we look upon them like that. And I've articulated what I believe to be the situation, the whole point, and I am, again, I'll just say, saddened by what happened in Dublin, because not that I don't think it needs to happen in some way or another, but it shouldn't. Not about that, like. You know what I mean? Like I said, parts of this don't add up. It's good, bad people are people. And we have an enemy. It's the haves. We're all have-nots. Don't take it out on another person who has absolutely nothing. Let's come together and try and make actual change. For everyone included. You want to get you fucking stuck in here and pitch in, get the place up on its feet, let's do it. I'm down. I don't care where you're from. It's irrespective of fucking nationality, creed, etc. Just let's get down. Let's get this place on its feet, But here's a little food for thought. You know, Africans in the Congo and in Sudan and stuff are fleeing war. And it's war for resources that we want. And people all over the Middle East are fleeing wars created by or facilitated by our allies and, like, you know, the coalition. We allow planes to refuel here so they can go and fucking bomb kids in Syria and all. And Ukrainians are fleeing a fucking meat grinder that we made, or we certainly stand by while it gets created by the Biden administration to fucking further enrich and bloat the industrial military complex. Like, that's what's happening there. It's a fucking meat grinder. We say it all the time. We talk about the hearts and minds. We put the Ukrainian flag. Like, if you really gave a fuck, or, like, you know, we don't really, because we still use our phones, and we still, and people is people. We got to do what we got to do. But I'm straying off point there. But the point I'm trying to make is that we are culpable in that situation, and we are culpable in all those situations I've just referenced. And if you don't want these people in your country, we need to stop destroying theirs. Do you know what I mean? You know, even if just like, you know, we're responsible for these people having to flee a situation far worse than ours. Or we certainly are living in countries that are allied with the people who are responsible for this situation, or are partly responsible ourselves. Listen, I just want to see the best for hard working class people in this country, and for all people. You know, I don't dislike you because you got money. I just think that it should be fair for everyone. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be so fucking hard. Like, and that's another point that I didn't actually get to make in that argument that I had with them lads that didn't help my depression situation that I'm having a bit of at the moment, and we'll talk about it again maybe in the next episode. But like, just like, I've had to take on a second job because I can't afford to, like, I'm really feeling this cost of living crisis. Get 2 pizzas and a fucking chicken wings cost €50. You know what I mean? I'm putting money in petrol in my car all the time. My mum's got lung cancer. She wants the heating on all the time. And the price of fuel's through the roof because because the Biden administration blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. You know what I mean? Peace and love, homies. Catch you on the flip flop, alright?
And ways consist of simple things, the days of black and white. And faces from a humble past at one with the ground.